Hello and welcome to the RMR Training Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan. We have a great episode lined up for you today. First, Meg Jacoby and I, we talk about just kind of like how long-term progress happens, how to kind of set yourself up for confidence and success for your race day, when to put in higher efforts, when to pull those things back, and really how you can kind of show up feeling your best and things we've learned over the course of our time as endurance athletes, our long time as endurance athletes. Then special guest pops on, Matt Mason from the HYROX Rundown presented by Race Brain. We come on and we talk about the implications of the new qualification system that HYROX has just rolled out. Matt's very dialed in on the sports side of things. If you're not familiar, the HYROX Rundown does podcast about just the sport aspect. If you're interested in like what's happening with the pro athletes, how things are kind of scoring, like the actual sport of it, that's the best place to get information and entertainment. If you're listening here, I'm sure you're interested in the training for your own results. But if you're interested on the sports side of things, HYROX Rundown is your place. So he comes on, schools us on what's going on that end. So if you haven't checked out the HYROX Rundown, I highly suggest it. It's a great show. They just did their top 5 episode with Greg Williams from the Rocks Life, and they will do a really fun preview episode where they draft teams for the upcoming major. So they're cooking right now. So if you're interested, take a look at that just to kind of get some insight on what's going on in the sport. Along those lines, I'm going to be done here in a second, then we'll get to the episode. I promise. If you'll be in Phoenix, LSKD and RMR, we are hosting a cheering section for the major race on Thursday. The women start at 7:30, I believe, men at 9. There's going to be a cheering section there. They're going to have thunder sticks to help with crowd energy, and it's just gonna be a really cool place to connect for people who are interested in sport, for people who are fans of RMR and of the racing. You can kind of get there and just have really good fun energy. If you listen to the show, if you're going to be there, it'd mean a lot if you show up to that cheering section and cheer like crazy, because it's going to be a really, really fun event. So with that, we got a 2-part episode. I hope you enjoy. All right. Hello. Welcome to the RMR Training Podcast. My name is Rich Ryan, joined by the Meg Jacoby. What's happening?
What's good?
Not much. We talked a little bit off air. We got smiling babies in the house. And
nice.
That makes the world difference.
That's awesome. So, I would do anything to go back to that, because right now I'm dealing with almost 11, having a boyfriend, and talking about Valentine's Day presents. So let's go back to smiling baby times, okay? I don't like these preteen problems that we're coming up with.
I could just see you being like what the traditional role of like an alpha
like
dad
a dad
would be like. Yeah, like shaking a hand real hard, like, what's your intentions here?
100%. I am. Dad is like, yeah, whatever, like you want. Yeah, let's do it. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, who the fuck is this?
Don't trust these
Who are their parents? What is his name? You know, like, where does he live? What does his mom do? What does his dad do for work? Like, I'm asking every, you know.
Yeah.
So
you fill that role. Cool. So today we have some races coming up. There's some races as we're speaking right now going on in UK and Europe, with Manchester, and I think it's Amsterdam is going down right now.
Yes.
So, and then we have Phoenix coming up this week here in North America. So the races are popping. And as we get closer to race time, we need to kind of shift. We generally recommend we shift what we're doing in terms of training. So I want to talk about specifically what to do in those last couple of workouts when it comes to your race day prep. So one of the things that comes to mind for me is how to kind of manage like a taper. And this isn't a full taper conversation. It's really just kind of like a one piece. But knowing that you need to have a certain amount of intensity still, like you can't take your foot all the way off the gas, but like you really can't make up too much when it comes to your fitness in like this last week and a half or so.
You are helping yourself zero this week. You're not building fitness for this race this week. 1 week out, you are not creating new adaptations that are going to help you on this coming race day 6-7 days later. So it's really about just staying sharp. And I think that's, I think most people tend to fall in the trap where they start panicking and feel like they didn't do enough of something. And then now are trying to add it in last minute. And that's not going to help you. In overdoing the volume because you're starting to let the mind stuff creep in, I think can actually deter you and hurt you more than if you just say, okay, well, I did what I can, up until now.
Right. So like these people who, and I mean, I've obviously been here, right? Where it's like,
we've both been here.
It's like, oh, this race is now.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to do, I wanted to do more stuff and then trying to cram it all in. And yeah, like that's not going to set you up for the week out. That's work that needs to be done. So I guess like from that perspective, like working backwards, when you're looking at building out a progression or whatever it is, like kind of leading up to race day, and you're like, okay, I need to execute this amount of work, or I want to reach this amount of volume, or whatever it is that you have like your goal for training. Where do you want that to end? Like, where do you want, like, how far away from the race are you like, here's my last quality session where I need to be at like this goal to make me feel ready? When's the last hardest workout that you would do?
Okay, thank you. I was like, I don't know if I'm understanding what you're asking me.
Let me ask this.
I'm trying to think of what I did before, like Stuttgart as an example, because that was like a big A race, and then obviously I knew once I I nailed that time, so then I knew like, okay, not that Madrid isn't as important, but like I didn't feel like I had to be. I have a little more wiggle room, you know what I mean? And at that point, it's hard to race like 1 month, 4 weeks apart and have them both be A races. So like I really needed to like get some quality training in because it's like a 1.5 week kind of downtrend before an A race. So I knew I needed to kind of gear back up before my second. And so I would say that my first race, I was probably about 5 days out, was my last like quality running session. Like that was a little bit longer. And I always do some type of shorter activation the day before, actually. Not long in terms of volume. And I'm not going to say what I do because I don't want to, what I do and what you guys should do is not the same. And then those days in between, there's a little bit of, just some station movements with a little bit of ski or row, but very much at race feel and race pace. So this is not, in my opinion, the time to then be exerting into like VO2 max, like 3-4 days out. This should be very specific to like race, race pace, your goal race pace. And then I think being very selective on what movements you actually do. We don't want to be breaking our muscles down 3-4 days before. We want an optimal recovery. So I would personally keep it much more aerobic. So keeping the movements more aerobic, getting the heart rate stimulus without damaging the muscles. I think that's the key. So I wouldn't personally be doing lunges. I wouldn't be doing wall balls. I wouldn't be doing any concentric movements. But keeping it like burpees, farmers, a little sled push isn't going to do too much to you. Keeping it short, maybe the intensity up, but just really backing the volume down and just keeping the muscle activation, and you can get a lot of that through just a few of the movements that we do without then creating too much fatigue that you need time to recover from.
Yeah, when we're looking at what happens during like a taper or whatever, the things that are going to degrade the fastest is going to be like your skill. So it's kind of like what you're saying, like you're like keeping the skill sharp, just so when you show up, you have that sharpness. Aerobic stuff, like via like your energy system stuff, your anaerobic like threshold endurance, like you're good for like a couple weeks. Yeah, so like trying to cram that in is probably just going to tax your system more than you need to for recovery. How do you manage your recovery? Like, what do you look at metrics or anything?
No, I just listen to my body with that. I think there can be maybe a time for that. I think in general though, when I have athletes ask me questions about that, like, hey, if my sleep is really poor, that's one metric that I will 100% take into consideration. Like if I only got like 5 hours, 6 hours, something's off, something's wrong, then I might shift things. But for me personally, oftentimes the HRV or like any of those numbers, they don't, for me, often coincide with how my body actually feels.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I think sometimes if we read too much into it, then we can be like, then now it's getting hard to stick to a set plan, because if we're moving things around, then other things have to be moved, and it can kind of create chaos if you're too far into it. So I try to listen to my body more than anything else, but the sleep is the priority, the number one thing that I will make adjustments for. So like if I'm traveling and I had a red eye and it's horrible, like that next day is automatically a rest day. And the day after that is an easy zone 2 low intensity day, because I'm not recovered from that. So that's the way I treat it. And everybody's different. And I think, maybe age is something to consider, where you need maybe some more of those metrics. Recovery is going to take longer as we get older. But I think you have to kind of figure it out for yourself and like understand how you feel. Because a lot of the time I've had like poor HRV and then just like crushed my session.
Right.
So like, it's like, well, thank God I didn't not do it. You know what I mean? So
the thing with like these, what you're talking about is ideally where every athlete should be, like the trust in how they feel, knowing when it's like they feel appropriately tired or overly tired over time, right? And like being able to have that intuitive sense is really where we want most people to be. And like your training should probably dictate how you feel, right? Like, I've had people, well, it was like something of a sleep supplement or something like that. Someone was like, oh, do you see a better improvement in your sleep scores when you take this versus this? And I'm just like, if I do a 60-minute HYROX session, like my heart rate metrics, no matter what I take, what I do overnight, are going to be like elevated and HRV down, resting heart rate up, because I just taxed myself. Nothing's going to like untax your system so much. Right?
Yeah.
So like that's really where like leaning on the training and understanding, it's like, if I do this, I will feel this way, and to feel a different way, I need to do this. Right.
Yep.
That's kind of weird. What you're saying is just like, yeah, like I could go off of recovery metrics, but like, I already know.
And that's where like being in a set plan is so important, because random training is not just random results, but it's random recovery. So if you're just randomly throwing stuff in left and right, and I'm going to do this workout today, and nothing is really structured, that also means your recovery is going to be totally random. And then it's very hard to like navigate how you continue to progress. So when you are on a set schedule and set plan, and you do that repeatedly for a very, very long time, if your hard days are Monday and Thursday, okay, Tuesday, I usually feel good. Wednesday, I feel a little not so good. The little DOMS effect. And I know Saturday or Friday is probably going to be a little bit like not so great, right? If I had a big day the day before. And so then I'm expecting that, and I know what to do. And then I know what training I need to do on those days, on my easy days. So I think that's the biggest thing, is like random equals random. You know what I mean? It's not going to be predictable. So the more predictable you can make everything, then the less you need to look at the data. You just know what to expect. And that's how you develop that body feeling too.
That's such a good point. Like the random results, but the like random recovery. I love that like saying about it, because you might know, if you do, in your example, you say Monday, Friday, or Monday, Saturday, whatever it was.
Yeah, or whatever it is.
And like, if you do that sequence, like, you'll know that like, okay, Tuesday's all right, Wednesday's worse. But if all of a sudden you're doing like, I'm going to go hard Sunday because I feel okay, and then like, you don't know what that Tuesday is going to be like. You don't know if that's going to bleed until Thursday. Then you're kind of like still like playing catch up, or you're just like pushing things off. More likely, you're going to end up doing too much and under recovering for sure. As opposed to the other end, where you're just like, I need to do more recovery. I don't think most people doing HYROX are like recovery.
I wish they were.
Yeah, that'd be
honestly.
great. Probably would perform better. But
Yeah.
I don't think people are missing workouts cut by like having random recovery, unless, like life stuff, of course. And that's just another aspect of it where it's like, okay, you couldn't because work, family, weather, whatever it is, like got in the way, like for sure. But most of the time it's people that are probably going to be going like too hard and then like not knowing how they recover, not just the next day, but the following day, the third day, like over the course of several weeks, like you start sticking in 2 to 4 extra quality sessions over the course of like a month, like that 5th week might be messed up, right? So it's like this cascading effect that you really then have no control over why you're feeling that way. Where if you have some a system around it, following a plan, and you're like, I'm going to try to stick in an extra quality session per week. And then on that 5th week, if you're feeling like a disaster, you're like, this has been too much.
Yes, exactly. Then you have a clear reason and you know what that is. And it's not just guessing like, oh, maybe it's because of this or maybe it's because of that. Right. So then it's just giving you a clear overall picture of what to expect, how you're going to feel, how you should feel. And then again, that's what leads to the ability to be consistent. And the more consistent you can be for the longer time you can be consistent for, that's where the magic happens. I think that's the one thing I would say in this HYROX community that not everyone is getting yet. Maybe they never will. But I mean, I think that's even our job as coaches often, as I'm 90% of my time, I swear, is spent talking people off the ledge from doing more work than they need to or should be doing. In that mental side of like, listen, that you're already... You felt like crap 3 days ago. Like, so why would we add in more, right? It's like talking people out of that mindset that more is better. And that you can't rush results. And I think that's the biggest thing that is tough with this sport.
So yeah, that idea of more is better, like that's not wrong. But in terms of like when and how you are applying the more is where it's a mess. It's like more is not better within a microcycle of a week, within what's more micro than a micro nano cycle of like a day, where it's just like, okay, now I'm just going to do a 2-hour workout and like hope that moves the needle. More is better over the course of like a year, 2 years,
2 years, 3
5
years,
years,
5 years. Exactly.
That's where you can really do more. This 30 extra minutes at the end of a nanocycle or whatever extra quality session in a microcycle, that's not good more. Good more.
Yeah.
You'll get more if you do it over the course of 2 years.
Yeah. And I think what I always try to emphasize is more is definitely not better if it's unsustainable for you. So if you're doing more for 2 months and then you can't sustain that more, then it wasn't beneficial for you. Because 2 months of doing a little more isn't going to get us really long-term results. Like it might in the really very short, immediate future, but it's the long-term and the building that up over time. That's what gets you better results. So if you can't sustain that or sustain a certain level of volume in your everyday life, and then it isn't better, right? It's not really doing good for you. You know, I also think that there's a level in which I don't think more is even necessary for so many people. I think once you start climbing your way, up in time or like getting faster with what you're currently doing, then that's when we start adding in stuff. But when we still have a big window of opportunity to keep making gains just from consistency doing what we're doing, then I don't think we need to be adding in so much. And I think one big negative side of people having more time is that they equate, I have more time so I can train more. But you might not, and this is with all respect, you might not physically be at a level that you need to be training more yet.
For sure.
And so then now what are we doing? You know what I mean? And because it's not going to just come faster. So I think that's a big, I get that from clients all the time. Like, this is my career. I have so much time to train. And it's like, well, but if you're running a 90-minute HYROX, I don't know that you need to be training significantly more to see improvement. And I think the risk reward is very questionable then. That's just my thoughts.
It's insightful in the matter of patience, right? And like
Patience.
the gratification that people are looking for. Like you said something in that where it's like they think the results will come faster, and there's just steps. Like it's really hard to make leaps and bounds, especially like you're saying, if like you're newer to this, if you're an emerging elite, right? If you have elite aspirations, which like many do, many come into this and they're like, yeah, like, I don't know, like I've been a good athlete my entire life. I'm going to like, and if I put my focus on this, I will see results. And that's true, but like, it can't be rushed. It can't be rushed. And it can't be rushed on the course, and it can't be rushed in training, where I think that, that people are seeing the amount of work that people are doing, right? Like, you know, we'll use our the homie Dylan Scott for an example here. You see him on social media; he's very open about what he's doing there. The volume's incredible. Like it is an unbelievable amount of volume, and to the point where on its face you'd be like, that doesn't make any sense. That's not going to work, but it's working. You know, he's like one of the best in the world, hands down. But
he built that up over so many years. And that's the problem. And what I should have added to that statement is, if you were a person who has only been training 8 hours a week, 6 hours a week for the last 2 or 3 years, you get into HYROX, you're really excited. Now all of a sudden you decide, I'm going to train 10 to 12 hours a week. You are doubling the amount of hours. You're now risking so much because you don't have that base built yet to be able to handle double the amount of training time all of a sudden out of nowhere. You have to build it up slowly over time, and you're at a very high risk of hurting yourself, and that or falling out of love with it because you went wicked hard into it. And we are not creatures who enjoy, like, we get bored, you know what I mean? And so you can't, I think I've seen this so many times. I've had so many clients who are like, I did my first HYROX and I ran a 70 women's pro, and I want to be an elite athlete. And I train them for 5-6 months. The needle doesn't move as much as they probably thought it should. And then they are not doing it anymore.
They quit
because we went all in super hard without having a base set up, without having, you know, the mental understanding that this is going to take a lot of time, without maybe having the background built prior to this. And then now we're mentally fatigued. So I just think that it's a big caution, because we get excited about something. It's super hype. It's hype all over social media. We want to be a part of it, but like, don't bite off more than you can chew, on both sides, the physical and the mental side, because it's a grind, you know, and progress doesn't just come. Like, it's a lot of experimenting with what's going to work for you. It's a lot of, okay, this worked, now it's not working. Now I got to change this. It's a lot of trial and error. And so it's not going to be perfect and just a perfect upward trajectory. So
I've been kind of a mentor of mine who's been on the show a while back, a couple of times, named Tim Silvestri. He had this framework around, this timeline, right? Like understanding like what the time horizon is. And when people don't commit to that too long, he says they like get on the off ramp. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Like they're like, all right, this didn't work for me. One, there's like physical, mental burnout, but two, there's this idea of talent that can come into play in this specific aspect where like, I guess I just don't have what it takes. Where like, again, they could see someone like you and be like, she's just gifted at this. But what they don't see is
I get that a lot.
You've been a runner since you were what, like 15?
12.
Right? 12. You were in the gym since you were in like your early 20s, whatever. Like you've been doing all this stuff, and like it was just the accumulation of gaining this knowledge of how to train, how your body's going to respond, how to get results over time. It didn't happen in 2 years. It happened in 20. So like,
yes, exactly.
So when we're looking at this, and so this might just be a frustrating thing for people who are coming into this now, be like, well, how am I supposed to catch her? And it's like, you're going to have a hard time. you're not going to do it in
Yeah.
2 years. If you possibly could, it has to be over the course of several, like, and knowing that it's not because Meg Jacoby's talented, Rich Ryan just talented, like they just have something that other people don't have. It's just like, no, it was just been building it up for a long time, and we're just like happened to be prepared well for this event as it showed up. Luckily for us.
we were the luck comes from being in the right place at the right time, not from like talent randomly.
Right.
And I'm definitely not the most talented. The difference for me, and I think hopefully my journey has been a really good indicator of that, what I've had to do to overcome these injuries, just as a prime example, is I am willing to do whatever it takes, period, every day, regardless of how I feel. And I've been that way for a very, very, very long time. It's the mentality. Yes, am I physically am I physically athletically gifted? Yes. Am I genetically gifted? Maybe a little bit, but most of it is the mental side, and it's the willingness. It's the willingness to, like, okay, this is what I have to do. And even being hurt, like, we were briefly talking about what I've been doing to keep my, fitness and my threshold work up, and like, no one else is going to do that. Very few, right? Very few people are willing to do that. And that's the separator. It's just doing all of the things well every single day, not even doing them astronomically amazing. It's just doing them well every day, in and out, regardless of how you feel or what's going on in your life or whatever. And that's the difference. That's the biggest difference.
It's, to me, like, just having this conversation now, so it feels almost like the opposite of talent is what's going to make a good endurance runner. I don't know if you've ever, in like high school or college, did you have teammates who were just like not fast, but they were just grinders, and they're like, I'm gonna do the 10K, and then they like get,
I was kind of one of them. Like, I was definitely not on paper like the fastest, but I was always the hardest worker. Always. Like, my teammates would tell you this, to this day. Like, we knew because it was an attitude, it was a decision. Like, I'm doing all the extra shit. I'm doing the cross training on the Sunday when no one else is doing it. I'm doing the core work, when no one else is doing it. I was that type of person and athlete, always willing to do what's necessary in the extra. And I think that's part of it. And when you think about the best athletes of all time, they say that their teammates, Michael Jordan's teammates, thought he was an insane lunatic. Kobe Bryant was in the gym at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And his teammates weren't there till 9 a.m. He'd already trained 4 or 5 hours. You know what I mean? Like, that's why they were great. Like, yeah, they probably had some raw skill and raw talent, but everybody at that level does.
Like, no one's born.
So it's just who's willing to put in the reps. And the longer you are able to put in the reps for, that's where the lights out performances, the standout performances come into play.
Yeah.
It's not, I think the biggest thing with this sport, because it's new, is it's not what you're doing right now or for even maybe the last 1 year. It's what have you been doing the last 5, the last 10. I have a lot of clients who will come to me and be like, I ran track and field in high school. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. You're 35 now though. So what have we done since high school, right? Like, that's awesome. And I love that. And this is, so it's great.
Nothing.
You'll understand some of what I'm talking about easier, all of that. But if we haven't been running for 18 years, like, okay, we're still starting at square one. Like, running the 800 in 10th grade isn't going to make us elite now. You know what I mean? In this. So it's, what have you been doing? What has your background been the last few consecutive years? That's what we also have to like consider and look at. And if you haven't been doing stuff like this, then you should give yourself in your mind already a few years, just in your mind. So it's great to have huge goals, but you have to be able to like think more long-term and set those micro goals up for yourself, so you don't have that mental fatigue and burnout. Because when you set yourself up with something crazy high and you don't maybe have the foundation already built, that's when it can get really, really frustrating and not so fun. Because it doesn't, how many times do you and I PR every year? Not
If you
that
PR
often.
once, it's amazing. Like, hell yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So like it gets, you know, you get closer to that ceiling, and then it's harder to keep pushing that ceiling up, and that gets really frustrating for people.
Right. And like you got to kind of, what's nice about a sport like this, right, is like that there are different avenues to find improvement. And
Yes.
and it's not always, and again, it's not always just more. I mean, more is a really interesting and effective way to, like, once you are kind of stuck, to see, but it's not like the only way. If it was the only way, everybody would just do Dylan Scott type volume.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
But
Exactly.
it's not the only way on that. Is there a moment that you realized or that you can remember about like putting in more work than others, or like, hey, like if I do these small things, like this is like I will see a return on that? Do you remember those, like a moment, or is there like times where you're like, I was doing this extra thing and I don't know why I was just doing it?
Yeah, so I remember vividly in college that I had a little bit of, it's so funny with the cross training. I had a little bit of a knee flare up, same knee. So this has been going on a hot minute, y'all.
You've been pushing through this for
I've been pushing through this.
15
This
years.
left knee has been my kryptonite. I had a little bit of a IT band syndrome kind of popping up. And so I was doing a lot of cross training on the arc trainer, aqua jogging, stuff like that. Cause running was, you know, was tightened up so much. I was getting a lot of knee pain from the tendon pulling on that kind of patella area. And I realized, like, okay, I was just doing more low intensity volume. And like when I started getting back into running, like I could definitely see it paid off. And so then I just kept doing it. I was like, well, I'm just going to keep going on the arc trainer like 2 or 3 times a week for, you know, 75. Our coaches were insane back then, where they were pushing you have to double your time on the cross training or 2.5 times to equal like a 60-minute run. So I was doing 2.5, 3 hours on that arc trainer, like straight, you know? So then I was running, but I was keeping that down. But I kind of learned like, oh, this is like something that's definitely helping me that I should, you know, keep doing. And like, I've used a lot of those, you know, a lot of those principles going through the stuff with my back, and keeping that volume high. It's really hard. It's not fun. It's very boring. I think, and I'm seeing a lot of other athletes are doing that now, where they're keeping that cross training volume really high. And I think that that's a great way to get more hours with a positive impact, but not carrying so much additional
Not killing
fatigue.
yourself.
Yeah. Because you can recover a lot better from stuff like that.
Physically, for sure.
It's bad. It's not bad on the joints.
No, right. You of course run the risk systemically of like overdoing it.
Correct. There's a wiggle room. I'm not saying add 10 hours of, you know, cycling all of a sudden,
right.
You know,
well,
but
like you'll feel better on your bones,
yes.
Tendons, ligaments, and stuff like that. I had a pretty similar experience like that in college, like where I don't know if it must have been injury, because we didn't go into the pool unless we were hurt, and we doing aqua jogging, and I just hated it so much that I started to swim, and I just got way faster. Like swimming, It was 2 times a week. We had what was called like a free period in the middle of the day, and I would just go and swim for like 30, 45 minutes. That was it. And then I just, like, my body composition got so much better, and then my results just got way better. And I was like, oh, nice. And then I would just like get up early and go. I don't even told my coach I was doing this, that I was just like going and doing extra stuff. I was like, like, okay, like this is working. I also remember there was a time in high school, and again, like when the fueling was a little bit different, everything was just about winning. But I knew that like if I didn't do the work, like I would have less chance of winning. So there was a time, I think our team was pretty good, in like, you know, small pond type of situation, but like we had won the conference or district meet or something like that as a team. And the next day, do you know what Rita's is?
Yeah.
Do you have
Rita's Italian ice?
Yeah.
Of course.
Heck yeah. Water ice, as we say down in Philly area.
Water. Yeah.
and like they got a bunch of water ice for us after, and they're like, "Hey, no practice today. We're just gonna hang out." And I was like, and I still had more stuff. I still had like individual stuff later. I was like, I'm gonna go train, and then I'll do this other thing. Like, and even like then, just because like the winning was like, I just knew that you can't get the results without the work. And I think that's what's so great about endurance, is that just shows like it's not a one-to-one, right? There's nuance. If there wasn't nuance, we wouldn't be having conversations like this all the time.
Yeah.
But like the work you put in comes out the other side.
Yes, it definitely does.
Best. Was there a moment for you when you started to really ramp up the volume?
I mean, even in high school, I was like, 8-mile run today, coach. You know, like I was running probably in the 40s in high school, not even zero exaggeration.
Could you chill?
No, he was like my biggest hype man, which was bad. He never critiqued me. I was it was a lot of this. I got a lot of ego stroking. It was really bad. When I was early in my career, I really recognized, and my dad, who was a real hard ass, this was probably one of the best things he could have said to me. I played basketball, and you did too. So most of the girls that I ran against were doing indoor track. So they were running, and I was playing basketball. So I would go from cross to playing basketball and then coming outdoor. And these girls would start the season light years ahead of me. And my dad was like, listen, I get that you like basketball, and sometimes we would have indoor and sometimes we wouldn't. It would depend on like the budget or whatever. It would get cut sometimes.
Oh, in school.
Yeah. So sometimes I didn't even have the option. I could have like ran individually at a meet if I chose, but my dad was like, listen, you want to go D1 on this? You can't not run for 3 months. Like that's not gonna fly, and you're going through puberty and your body's changing, and I'm not 105 pounds anymore either. Like I have to be, like that is a huge thing all girls face, going through that with performance changes. So my sophomore year, I started running before basketball practice every day. So I was running 5-6 miles, then going to a 2-hour basketball practice. Dang. Like I'm 15.
Yeah.
That was a decision I made. No one was doing that. Like I was like, okay, gonna go pack my running stuff, ran right after 8th period, right before basketball started at 4:15. I'd have like an hour and 20 minutes to like run, change, and then I'd run a 2-hour basketball practice. So like you just learn, you have a couple things early on that you realize. And those are those moments for me. Like I always had that in me. You know what I mean? Like just like a crazy work ethic that was like, oh shit, I got to figure this out, and was figuring it out. And it's a different mindset. Not every kid has that, you know what I mean? That willingness to like do the little things. So yeah, I think that's a huge part of why I'm here. Like at this point, but I was definitely always kind of a higher volume person. I mean, we were running 80-mile weeks in college. So 18, 19, 70s to 80s.
Yeah. Same.
It was insane.
Hard.
It was hard. It wasn't good. I'm going to say that it was bad.
And like with that, I was always like, we didn't do any of the extra stuff. Like the stuff I do now. Yeah. Compared to like how little my college coach knew, or like it's actually insane. It's insane.
You guys, we didn't do any strength training at all. We didn't do any mobility. We did like it is
no form
it's
stuff,
nothing. No drills. I'm like, dude, what were we doing?
Just miles.
Like, just go run.
Like, and then like
morning run, afternoon run.
Yep.
Insane.
But like coming from endurance background, both of us, and that like idea, I think that the work ethic was instilled before, we had adult like habits. Yeah. So it feels like it was always there, but there was something, that was learned along this route. There was like, oh, this is just how I am now, because it is something that we were doing before like our brains were developed. Before we had like real ideas of like real habits of like how things work or what things are. Like that's something that just kind of came up.
It was the routine. Like that's just ingrained. Like, okay, so today I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go for a run. And then after work, when I'm 23 and starting my job, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to lift for an hour and then I'm going to go home. Like that was like my day, like that was just do my running and then do my strength training. Like it was just part of my life,
So I guess if we come back to HYROX, then if there are athletes, again, like people who have big goals, who want to accomplish, maybe someone who's like wants to be, who's emerging elite, wants to be elite, wants to take these next steps, like where's the first thing that you think you'd recommend people do?
I think because of this sport is so running focused, I would say like build up the base, build up your cardiovascular system, do the aerobic training, and then sprinkle in like some of the strength stuff, or if you're not doing that already. That's where I would say, because I think we've seen, aside from CrossFit, because they're doing everything, I think we tend to see people have a better chance of breaking in if they have the bigger endurance background, right? So then they just learn the movements, they develop those movement patterns over time, and they improve that. But they have the aerobic fitness, kind of right off the jump. So it's just like skill development. So I think that's where I would say most people should start, is like focus on that first. Try to get your running good, like there's some ranges, and we've talked about these, of kind of like 10K times or even half marathon times that you kind of have to be around if you're going to be getting into the elite or close to. And I would say like, look at kind of what those are and then try to kind of work your way towards those. I think that's the first goal. If you're the opposite and you're already really fast, but the strength is the hard part, then I would say the opposite. And I have some clients that like their 10Ks are really solid, but they are very much lacking in the strength side, or the strength endurance side. And so then that's the thing. But I think the base for the general person is obviously the aerobic side.
Yeah. And it takes a long time.
Takes a long time.
Setting up an expectation of like, hey, even if I just do all aerobic stuff and nothing else, like your HYROX results might not get like that much better, because like you don't have the base to really build what you need. The WOD Science people did a study. Still don't think dude has done a HYROX.
No, he hasn't. I know it.
Yeah.
No.
So, but he's putting out HYROX content. But they did some kind of study where, I don't know, they said like they split groups for 8 weeks, where one group did running only and one group did mostly Metcon stuff. And the results were the running group got better at running, but not at the station stuff. And the station group got better at stations and not the running stuff. Like,
well, of course. That seems pretty clear to me.
Right. Exactly. You got to do HYROX work to get better at HYROX.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just like to set the expectations for someone who would be like coming in and needing to work on the aerobic side or the strength side, right? Like that, if you go all in one direction or not, like it's not immediate results. It is
for sure.
It's going to take some time to really like build up what you need in terms of that aerobic stuff before you can really start to layer in the things that are the most.
Exactly. And that's where like that periodization piece kind of comes in, because like we've said, it's going to be really difficult to be gaining everything at the same time. Like it's just going to be difficult to do that. So kind of, putting it into different blocks with different intentions. I think that's kind of the realm I would tell people to go in. Once you get your base running fitness kind of at a decent level, then you can start adding in those Metcon pieces or, more of that kind of work. Because again, then you already know what to expect regarding the training, you know what I mean? And then you can start adding. We can't like add a million things in at once. Now we also don't know what's actually working and what isn't.
Right.
So that's kind of, my thoughts on that.
Yeah, even like I'm thinking about my own training right now for this block. I've added like a couple of things. So if I race well or not that well, I'm going to be like, there's like one or two things. And I'm like, I think.
Yeah.
But like, for me, it's that there's different things feel different because of different adaptations. I think I'll be able to feel which one, but even still, I'm kind of like, what did I do? Like, what is going to move the needle the most here? At the same time, we've talked about just like adding in, everything should be iterative, not like completely revamping. It shouldn't be like starting from scratch and doing everything completely different. It's like, okay, I did this, so now I'm going to do it this way. So even though I think we had a couple conversations ago, I forget, it's like the way training used to look and looks now might be completely different, but how it looked from block 1 to block 2 was only a little bit different. And block 2 to block 3, again, a little bit different then. And now the way that it looks now, yeah, it might look like it's a complete shift, like a night and day, but how we got there was like a slow
incremental, very incremental changes
along the way.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't think we came on here. I had kind of a loose idea of a conversation.
I know,
and we
this went in a totally different direction, but I like it.
Though we out here, we're just chatting, catching up.
Yeah. Guys, a week out, stop overthinking. Stop overthinking it. Calm yourself down. Get your mental side, the mental game. And I think we both can attest to this. The mental side right now is the most important piece. The work is done. It's behind you. There's nothing you can change now. Now it's controlling our brain. Now it's visualizing. Now it's doing anything positive that helps you stay relaxed and focused on your goal, not coming up with crazy scenarios in your mind and, oh my God, am I fit enough? And the mental aspect is also a massive component and a big, big difference maker. Your mind is so powerful. If you believe something will go wrong, it is way more likely to. If you keep telling yourself, I'm going to knock this out of the park, it's going to go great, you will believe that. That's how powerful you can convince your own self of something. So focus on the positive side over and over and over, visualize it going well. Visualize the station you're worried about going well. Keep thinking about everything going well. And it's way more likely to actually, have that happen. Plan for the, hope for the, what is it? Don't plan for the worst. Just hope for the best. I don't know.
I think that's right. I think that's
right. Is that how the saying is?
No, for sure. Like I had this thought yesterday, and I was like, I couldn't understand. I couldn't think of how the race won't go well. Mm-hmm. And I was like, nice. It doesn't mean other people won't race better than I do, and that's something I can't control.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I might not get the result that I want, but like the race is going to go well if I like execute to the point that I know I need to, and just like trust my fitness and like lean into discomfort, and just like all of that is built over the block, right?
Yep.
And there's a couple things mentioned here on what yours are too. For me, it's like my peace of mind that we're talking about is built around like if I'm completely healthy, right? Like feeling good is a big part of yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be great.
It's a privilege. If like recovery feels like it's going well as well, like if my if my like mood is okay, if like my sleep is going okay, that gives me peace of mind. If my body composition is right, that's just like another thing. It's not like I don't need to obsess over it, but like if I feel not confident in either way, it's like, oh, I'm like too light, or it's like, oh, I'm like too heavy, or whatever it is, or I'm just like not happy with it. That's another thing that can be like, that's a reason this race might not go well. So having that like in a place that I'm happy with, performance wise, gives me like big time peace of mind. And then being able to look back at training and see workouts that I'm like, that was really hard and I did it. That was really hard and I did it. I saw improvement from this point to this point. And then if those things are like in line, I'm like, all right, like there's no reason this won't go well.
Exactly. For me, it's the execution of the block. Like I'm a big person that if, and I'm extremely adamant about this, I don't really change anything. I don't really move anything around. So for me, it's like if I executed every single workout on the schedule, on the plan, the day it was supposed to be done, like whether I felt like it or not, and I still got it done, like that builds so much security and confidence for me. And then that's really like all I need to come in and feel really secure that I know I'm going to nail this. So for me, it's like the lead up, the couple months of just doing the work over and over and over again. That builds so much confidence in my brain, never skipping anything. Like, I don't like if I can look back and go like, oh, I skipped those couple workouts. Maybe that's why I don't like having anything that I can think about after if it didn't go as well as I'd hoped, that I can like, oh, maybe it was that. I try to control all of those controllables as much as I can. And then, like I said, just going in, I'm like, I'm ready. I did everything I could. And that gives me a lot of peace of mind. Knowing I did everything I could, I'm like, okay, now the chips can fall where they may, and I can be good with wherever they fall. Like, I get peace from that.
Yes.
Because I know I did everything I can do.
Agreed.
And I think the other side is, as an athlete, I think when I was younger, I was probably way more like, I loved performing because I hated losing. And I think that's a very, maybe a little bit of an immature mindset. For me now, it's like, I'm so process oriented, and I just love the work and like who I become through that work. And that's been like really, really eye-opening for me in this journey, because it has not been going that great, in some ways. But like, I still am constantly developing and finding more out about myself as a person and as an athlete with all the ups and downs. And I really love that piece. And so I think for me, it's like, I'm so much more okay, no matter where I would like stack up at the finish line. Like, I'm good with whatever, because I know like I do everything I can do. I control as much as I can. And like, the objective is really who I'm becoming, the self-development, the athlete development, the journey, the work. That's what I love more than even the race itself. And I've really dove into that, especially because I've had to, like, I haven't been able to race so much. So it really makes you appreciate when you can race. And I've kind of just fell in love with the process, because I've been so process oriented the last, year and a half. So yeah, that's what it is.
That's the whole deal. So in summation, if you're feeling insecure about your race, if you're not so confident, the last week's not going to help you feel confident. The previous 20 weeks, you got to work 20 weeks of consistency. Just saying a number, but many weeks of consistency is what's going to get you to the point of the week of, to feel good, to feel confident, to feel like you're going to run your best race. The week of ain't going to do it.
Probably not.
Got to wrap this up. Meg, thank you so much for joining today. Dropping knowledge, of course. So good.
Let's go, Phoenix.
You're going to be
not there.
Not in the desert, but you're going to be.
The little girl has a B-day, so I'm coming over, which I wasn't anticipating. So I actually wasn't going to come over before Phoenix. So I'm coming over earlier to give me a little more time because of the timeline of my last injection. There's kind of a optimal window. So I only have like 10 days to be stateside. So I had to kind of finagle things around, and I got to be with her. So won't be in Phoenix because of that. So hope everyone understands, but focused on the recovery, getting the recovery, hitting my buddy Tom's office. I'm like, Tom, you nailed the diagnosis. I'll see you on Thursday, Yeah. So that's my guy right there. So it's going. Hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah. Word will be in Phoenix, Kent and I, and then we'll see you all out there. Thank you so much for listening. Talk soon. All right. I'm joined by Matt Mason of the HYROX Rundown, taking time away from dad time, He just called in. He's like, I'm out for a couple hours. We got to talk. We got some things to talk about. Matt, I appreciate your dedication.
We got some things to work through.
We got to work through some things. How are things going, dude? How are you?
Good, man. I'm here in this monstrous snowstorm. Probably not going to get 2 workouts in today. It's probably not going to happen.
You guys getting hit too? I know the East Coast is getting...
It's getting dicey.
Is it?
Yeah, we were in the zone of like, it could be... Sorry, I shouldn't turn around and look, but I'm like looking out the window. We were in the zone of like, it could be 2 inches. It could be 12. Well, brother, it looks like it might be 12.
Man.
It is coming down. Coming down.
So we are here, Matt Mason making his RMR Training Podcast debut. We're going to talk about the new qualification system that we have going on. And we got some really fun things to talk about with the race coming up in Phoenix, the first and only major in the United States. So it's a real good time to be kicking things off and chatting about some HYROX stuff. So first, let's get into the system. We just had an announcement this past week that there's a massive revamp in the qualification system for the elites when it comes to HYROX. Matt, you've been doing the work. You've been out here getting information, understanding what's going on, and so I want to get your general take. So, just pro or against? How you feel about this new system?
Pro.
Why are you pro?
Gotta be pro. Yeah, I mean, I would say I think that the most important thing to keep in mind is that we've talked about this a lot over on Race Brain, that like we have to give credit where credit's due, that HYROX does listen, and generally speaking, they do take action. And for the most part, like things have consistently gotten better. And I think that when I look at this new system, I doubt that this is final, right? Like just like anything that they do, they've got a concept of a plan. Actually, it's not even a concept anymore. They have a full structure of a plan that they have that nailed down, that they are running with. And I would imagine that some things will get exposed, and I trust that they will fix it. Is it perfect? No. But is it better than what we had? Objectively, yes. I think, one of the things I appreciated the most was Matlock basically came out and said what we all knew to be true, which was the sport has grown in a way that courses are not consistent. The amount of turns on a course, the amount of laps that you have to run, the layout of the rock zone, elevation, humidity, how hot it is in a venue. These are all things that we know in the back of our mind to be true, but we would always get frustrated that it was never acknowledged. And so a guy like you in the elite field, you know what, Rich, like it kind of sucks because you're getting older and you got to run a little bit more than maybe what you want to.
Come on, bro.
Slight dig. But at the same time, now Rich Ryan doesn't have to fly to Barcelona to try to drop a 50, whatever it was at the time. I think it was a 58 high. You don't have to do that anymore. You just have to race the dudes that are in the race with you. And if I'm Rich Ryan, I feel really good about my chances of starching the other dudes on a start line.
It's the only thing I ever wanted. Only thing I ever wanted with this. So yeah, I'm also pro from that perspective, right? Like the time has no place for this qualification system. The way they're going to gatekeep it so tightly, if they were going to open up the gates a bit wider, then time might be a little bit more viable. But when we're talking about 15 athletes fighting for like 3 spots or whatever, it's just too tight. And these courses being like not only inconsistent, but sometimes like drastic swings in your actual finishing time, regardless of effort, regardless who is there. So it's coming down to luck. It has come down to luck a lot of times, like what the venue is going to be like, who designed the course, how it's going to like shake out. And in terms of fairness, luck is not fairness. Luck shouldn't have any, like things to do when it comes to qualifying. Like it should be merit based and performance based. And it just wasn't. It just wasn't like that for a long time. So Matt, could you give us some details? Like, I guess, how long do you think it will take to explain this thing? I'll put you on the clock. Give us the rundown of what this, like, what is this? What is the system? And I guess what it was. Let's start with what it was, just to kind of catch people up completely, so that we know like where we were and where we're going.
Yeah. Okay. So if we go back to the early days of HYROX, when back to the early 2020s, basically the Elite 15, when they first came out with that, it was very simple. You just had to have a top 15 time. So that actually was even worse than what it is now in some regards, because in theory, this didn't really happen. I think we always wind up getting the best 15 athletes into the field, but in theory, you could be in the Elite 15 and then, 2 or 3 weeks before Worlds, someone could drop a Berlin or a New York City, get a fast time, and then you're out. So it didn't reward consistency. It didn't reward anything. It was just the 15 fastest times, which was problematic for all the reasons that Matlock stated. We know that the courses are different. We didn't really understand that back then, but we do now. So that was problematic. Then in 2023, is that right? 2023, 2024 season. I believe that's when it was. Is that right? Nice, you needed 2 times, right? Or is it Nice, 24, 25?
That was 20 or no.
It was still 23, 24. We moved over to your 2 best times. So it was
that was still
no. It was after. Yeah, right. Okay, you're right. It was 1. All right, so it was 1 time.
The majors.
But the majors got introduced, and then people didn't have to worry about times, because if you showed up at a major, and so some of the best athletes that were consistently racing majors, if you placed in the top 3, you got an auto qualifier. And then at the time, if those top 3 spots were taken by people who had already qualified, it would roll down to 5th. So then we had certain athletes that did not have to. I actually think you benefited from that system in DC that year. You did not have to worry about catching a time. You took 3rd place in DC, locked up your spot for Worlds.
You still needed time to get into.
Correct. You needed time to get in, but then once you got a major, so let's say you ran that fall major and you locked up your time. You didn't have, or you locked up your qualification. You did not have to worry about times going forward.
Right.
That took us through Nice. After Nice, we introduced the top 2 times, where it was your 2 best times on a rolling 12-month calendar period, got you into the majors. The wrinkle that we threw in then was that now the majors, we actually let the roll downs go further. So in theory, if we had 6 people that qualified, that had already qualified for Worlds, and they placed top 6 at a major, it would roll down to 7, 8, 9. You start to see how that's problematic too, because now we're rewarding people who are finishing in the back half of the field. But the bigger issue with that was that the average of 2 times was just absurd, because we definitely have courses that were unfair. The 2 most notable ones, or I shouldn't say unfair, but were more favorable. The 2 most notable ones would be Berlin over in Europe, and then New York City here in the US, where people were just dropping crazy times. We were seeing people drop 3-4 minute PRs, like over PRs that they had just set 3 weeks ago. Nobody takes 4 minutes of fitness off in less than a month. That doesn't happen.
with those courses in particular, and the one that just happened in London, like they're visibly different. Like Berlin is outside, it's 1 lap. It's in New York is outside. The sled lengths were like you did 6. So like the sled
it was 9 meters instead of 12.5.
And the surface was different. It's like this is
the turf was actually different. It's not
literally different. Yeah, this is clearly different. Yeah. This is a different thing. And they're like,
well, if you go back 2 years ago when New York City was fast the first time, we hadn't actually installed the HYROX turf yet. So the rest of us were pushing on carpet, and then New York City was pushing on turf. And if you've ever pushed on turf at a gym, you know that there's less friction on turf than there is on just physics.
We'll give you physics lessons then. So I actually think the 2 times were introduced this year to qualify into
for the 25-26 season.
Qualified to Chicago was still 1 time, but it was still major. And this year they made it the 2-time average, which is said still a problem, because if you have a 3 minute, like if you run like a 54 and you have like a 58, like your average is still good, but like, are you really a 56?
Yep. Yeah.
So, okay. So now that brings us to speed now. What is this new system going to look like?
Yeah. So the elite working committee and HYROX got together and they looked at how can we make this more, let's just say standard across the board. How can we standardize this as a standard race? You also have to acknowledge this is coming on the heels of HYROX announcing that they want to become an Olympic sport. So that definitely plays a factor into this. They're trying to bring more legitimacy to it. And so we are moving to a point system. So I think that is the big trade-off or change is point system, not too dissimilar to other types of sports that have point systems. PGA Tour has a point system. You look at professional triathlon has a point system.
All 35 or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, so my good friend Anthony Parasini sent me all the sports they looked at for this. It's like 29 different sports that they used. It's really quite absurd.
What's pickleball
World
used?
Fitness Project. I don't know. I don't see pickleball on here. That's true. I did. Okay. Yeah. Well, Kent's gonna take offense to that. We got World Fitness Project on here. No, pickleball. We've got triathlon, Diamond League, right? Even in a way, CrossFit does sports too. It's slightly different than this. Formula One, right?
Everybody wants to be F1. Everybody wants to be F1.
All kinds of sports in here. Yeah. So the TLDR, to make it really, that's too long, didn't read for you non-corporate folks. The easiest way to describe this is that we now you get points based on placement at races. And then not all races are equal. And that makes sense. Your regional race. So as an example, racing in Ottawa is not worth the same as if you start on the start line of the Elite 15 regional race, which if I'm using Ottawa as an example would be DC for North America, is also not the same as showing up against the world's best competition, which would be a major, which we're going to have next week in Phoenix, is also not the same as showing up at Worlds. So they've effectively weighted the points. So to make it really simple, you can actually, this is all posted on HYROX, so you can go and look. But I'll just talk about the winners to make it really easy. You win a standard pro race. So you win Ottawa, you get 105 points. If you win Phoenix, Rich Ryan is back, baby. He wins Phoenix next week. He gets 108 points.
110.
110. But then because Rich Ryan is all the way back, my man's is going to go and win DC too. And then he's going to get the 108 points.
There we go.
And then when you when Rich wins world championships, he's going to get 115 points. So, and it's a sliding scale from there. Then it also gets a little bit confusing. At each race, after a certain placement, we get percent of winner. Shout out Jack Bauer, who has been talking about, we went back and looked at this, Rich. Jack Bauer has been talking about percent of winner and OCR and hybrid since 2016.
Since like elementary school, dude wants
our man's is out there. Our man's is out there, dude.
So, okay. So let's look at this real fast. In a standard pro race, which will pertain to most people, right? Like if you get third, your score that you're going to get, your points that you're going to get is going to be the first place time divided by third place time, your time times 100.
Yeah, so let's actually just do this live really quick because I can give you an example of what this would look like because we just had Manchester happen. So if I go to the pro men, Charlie Bottrell was 55-16.
Dude's on a level.
Mark Dean was 56-23.
So he would get 100 points.
Yeah, so I'm gonna call this 55 and a quarter. Divided
but
by
Mark gets 100.
No, because Mark got third.
Oh, okay. Harry got second. Okay, yes. You're right.
Yeah, Harry second place gets 100 points. We get percent of winner from third on.
Yeah.
So Mark Dean finished.
Would you just translate this to if you could just translate this to seconds? Is how you do
probably.
this?
But I'm gonna round. So I'm gonna do 55.25 divided by 56.33, and I'm gonna times that by 100. So Mark Dean, because he finished close enough, is actually going to get 98.1 points. So he's only getting 1.9 points less than Harry Thompson, who finished second.
Got it.
Now you have to be percent of winners. So the example that we've all been using to make this make sense to people is the late Rylan Shadegg went over to New Delhi and waxed that race, won by 12 minutes. Because he won by 12 minutes, nobody else scores points. So everybody in the field has to be close enough in order for there to be points allotted to the second and third place. That way we don't get people earning 100 points when they weren't really competitive.
There's a pretty sizable window to which this fits, right? It's like if you get
10% of winner.
Well, if you get fifth place, you get
yeah.
You have 17.5% of first place. So it's like a lot. Like, so it's going to be the outlier, which does make sense. That we do have this caveat in place, just so you're not running a 68 and getting 100 points, and you do that 5 times, and then like you're all of a sudden like in the hunt, where you probably
now Jack Bauer hates this, by the way, and this is where Jack and I disagree. I see Jack's point. Jack doesn't think that these people should be scoring points. My argument and HYROX's argument is going to be, respectfully to all you out there, you really need to be getting first or second for it to matter. Not that the points don't matter, but I've actually looked at the numbers that Anthony shared with me. Going back the last 3 years, nobody has qualified. They've like retroactively applied this system to see where people landed. Nobody has made the world championships with less than 500 points. Nobody's made a major.
So you need to average over 100.
100, yeah. So you're not going to, you scoring 97 points or 89 points, like good for you. Like you're a good athlete for, being able to place in the top 8 of a regional race, but you're not going to be.
If that's the case, why score them at all?
That's Jack's argument, and I hear it, but I'm not. There's other things about this system that I would split hairs over and say, why are we doing it this way? This isn't one of them because it doesn't really matter.
And it's still kind of cool. It's seeing where your points are. It can be a thing on the leaderboard. It could be attractive to whatever sponsors to like.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Where they're gonna post the leaderboard. So right now we only see to top 40, but if you're scoring points, you're going to be able to see that. And that's cool, right? Like global leaderboard.
Totally.
It's cool. Like if you go back to, you think about world golf rankings as an example, they go down to basically, if you got points, you're on the leaderboard. And that's kind of cool to say like, okay, we've got pro cards. And if you're a let's say you're not Rich Ryan, you're not one of the elites, but you're a high level age group athlete. That's kind of cool to see your name on a global leaderboard. I think it's a nice little thing.
And it's a little bit more, it's hard to, let's get into this now because it's going to be hard to, it's still hard to compare regions, especially if these times don't mean anything. The times haven't meant anything. But you'll still get to kind of see, it's like, oh, this dude over whatever, Ronan Lindsay's, he's a good athlete, the Irish athlete. He's been doing well. It's like, and I'm whoever in the United States can kind of see where you're stacking up. So I think another issue that does arise here that comes to mind is like, what about these regions that are just not strong? And most of the regions are coming along and they are fairly strong. Like Australia in particular is going to have like really good athletes coming up. Right. But so far, like we haven't seen an incredible amount of depth in the like Asia region. And so like, say like, our guy, Gabe Heck, he cleans up, right? Is there, I guess like or whoever, say it's not Gabe, say it's somebody who just wins all those races, but like against basically no one. Right.
Yeah. I said this on the rundown. I just wanted to clarify here as well. I feel bad for Gabe because he's the example that's being used on every podcast right now. He's the example on every podcast.
Is the example,
but Gabe has also qualified for the Elite 15 on his own merits with two times. He's very good. Gabe, if you're listening to this, Wisconsin boy, that's living over in Asia.
Say it wasn't. You're not even a Wisconsin boy. Why are you repping so hard?
What's Scotty always a Scotty?
So say it's not Gabe, right? So say it's like someone who's unproven.
No, we got to use Gabe. Races. Gabe is the example.
Gabe is good. That's why
he's the example.
But that's why this works fine because Gabe could very well, no matter what region he would be in, he could very well accumulate enough points to be in the Elite 15 regardless. So I guess that's like the counter, right? It's like, okay, like, yeah, maybe not the depth of field is great and maybe it's an easier way for him to get in. But like, as long as there's like one guy in a region or one female in a region, like it doesn't matter that much, right?
Yeah, I hear you. So let's just look at Gabe as an example. So Gabe has raced one elite race. He got in on his own merits. It was the DC race, 2024, but he finished.
That's
10th.
all. He's only done one.
Yeah,
wow.
He finished 10th, and that 10th at a major is only worth 100 points. So the way that the system would course correct for itself is, and again, we have to remember, I think that's why I said what I said at the beginning. We have to remember why HYROX is doing this. I can see how as an elite athlete, you might be frustrated by this, but at the end of the day, HYROX still cares. It's a business. They care about HYROX, and their stated goal is they are trying to become an Olympic sport. And if you want to be an Olympic sport, you have to have global appeal, right? So like at the end of the day, they want someone from Asia to make it in. Why?
100%.
Because that legitimizes it as a world sport. Same thing. They want somebody from Africa in because it legitimizes it as a global sport. But the argument would be, because you have to have these 5 races, if Gabe cleans up, and let's say he scores 525 points, then he goes to a major, and maybe that messes up his race calendar. If he does not finish in the top 10, his average is going to drop, right? And so it would effectively, it is course correcting. But the other piece of this is, and something that I think that is something that they want to see more of, is they want to see athletes racing. And so what's now going to happen is if you're getting starched, or you're really not getting starched, but you're getting 9th place in a competitive London race, right? And you're only taking home 95 points, 94 points. Maybe you do get on a plane and travel to the Middle East, or maybe you do go to mainland China. Now, HYROX's argument is that actually legitimizes Gabe, because you got to go beat Gabe Heck.
For sure.
Who's a good athlete, right? So if you beat Gabe Heck and you get the 105 points, good for you. If you don't beat Gabe Heck, pipe down.
Yeah, I agree. And like, this is the whole thing. Like, I think, again, we're going to pick on Jack. His point, what, like he like circled someone that did get like in that 8th to 10th in London. And he was like, how is this time so much faster than this person's time? How's it not worth the same? It's like, we just got off of railing times. Like, you can't flip it. Like, the times don't matter at all. So if you get 10th in a regional race, do you have any business in an Elite 15 conversation? Like, probably not. If you're consistently getting 10th, right?
Well, and respectfully, we haven't seen anybody. We haven't seen anybody who's gotten 10th in a regional race consistently. And actually, I'd be willing to bet that we probably never have. We've never seen someone who is like getting 10th, who maybe got in via a roll down, who's podiumed at a major. It hasn't happened.
No. Right.
So it's like, you can't really make an argument like that. That would be Rich and I's argument. These guys are good these guys and women are good athletes. They should be proud of their effort. They're not Elite 15.
Right.
Like, not everybody can be a winner.
And, and we get this because of the times people who do run and like, they get 4th, 5th, 6th on a course that is incredibly fast. They get into an Elite 15 race. They don't qualify for Worlds. Right. You're right. Let's talk about the number of races. I think that from the athlete perspective, the things I've been hearing about, and like, I like the system. I think it is so much better. I think it's leaps and bounds better. It's in the right direction. 5 races is a lot. 5 races over the course of a season, like, feels like a lot for many. So that's the main thing, right? Like, kind of forcing people to race more often. There's a couple of issues with this. One, just like, it's a lot. It's a lot of travel. It's like sticking more races into a schedule that might not, and athletes might feel like they have to race when they physically might not be ready to, and that might just kind of create setbacks. There's no room for like downtime almost at all. There's no real, like, you can't really pick your spots. Your hand is forced a lot more. If you have an injury, you're basically done. And there's no, like, this doesn't like and it's also like doesn't reset, which I kind of want to get your pick your brain on a little bit, see what you think about that. But like, from athlete perspective, like, 5 seems like a lot. So especially when these races feel like they're clustered, even though like on the schedule, it's like, oh, there's a race every month or whatever, but it still feels like you have to be ready within a certain amount of period of time, and you have to take every race like right now, I think that leaderboard, like I think the homie Jack Driscoll is like 2 because he raced every single race in the North American region, right? And like that is just not that sensical from a physical standpoint, from like monetarily, it's like very expensive. It's just like hard to swallow, it seems like.
Yeah, so a couple of things. Jack Driscoll, I know you listen and know that I love you, but Jack knows this. That's going to change because Jack just raced all the fall races, but he didn't win all the fall races. And so he's about to see his name drop as some of these elites hit some of these majors and these regionals. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope, Jack wins, I know
Jack's
he's racing.
Jack's got a shot to qualify.
Yeah, he could get into Warsaw. He could get into Warsaw, and that could
get the
change.
Warsaw.
I
He
think,
can get in the Worlds through DC.
Yeah.
For sure.
Look, the 5. If you just react based on like, I think a visceral gut reaction is 5 is too many. Facts don't care about feelings, and the facts are that the elite athletes and the elite hopefuls are actually racing that much already, if not more. I think and again, I'm not an elite athlete. I am a, if this was first take, you are Ryan Clark and or Cam Newton. You're the man in the arena, and I'm Stephen A. Now, I don't think I'm actually Stephen A. I'm just saying you've been an elite athlete. You've actually competed.
Cam Newton has bad Jalen Hurts takes.
Okay, fine. You're Dan Orlovsky.
I'm gonna go with Cam Newton.
My point is you're actually competing in the elite field. I've never competed in the elite field. I obviously do a lot of HYROXs. I'm in it, but I'm not an athlete. So I think like I can see how for you, it's like, okay, I now have less control because I'm probably going to have to race races that I don't want to race to keep my average rolling. But the truth is that people are averaging this. So there's only a few athletes that are actually averaging less than 4 races as it currently stands. The one that was shocking to me, as a little teaser for you, is Ronkovic. Ronkovic is actually only averaging the last 2 to 3 seasons, like 3 races, 2 races.
That is kind of
4
crazy.
races.
Yeah.
Hunter, believe it or not, actually is someone else who we feel like doesn't race a lot, and he doesn't. He's averaging like 4.5. So he only needs one more race. Mind you, and this is an athlete who after Worlds basically doesn't race again until we usually see him pop up in December. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're Hunter McIntyre, I respect the fact that he appreciates beer drinking season and he's one of the world's best and whatnot. Hunter could show up to Boston and starch the field and get his 105 points and stay ahead. And the reality is that he probably also doesn't need to do that because you are scoring more points on a major race if you finish in the top 4 to 5, which he is, than what you do at a regional race. So that's point 1. Point 2 is that nowadays, especially because the majors are starting, they're paying more every single year. So it is actually now, there is more of an incentive for Rich Ryan to, well, there wasn't because shout out Scotty, but if Scotty wasn't in the picture, and we're glad that she is because she's a beautiful baby. I got my Carl and Scotty magnet last night.
Nice.
Very excited.
Put it on the fridge. Nice.
It's on the fridge. It's on the fridge. Pumped. Shout out Carl. Had it not been for Scotty, you may have considered going to Melbourne. May have because of the amount of money that was on the table. Next year, that's going to be more. And the year after that, that's going to be more. So there's already 4 majors and there's 1 regional. So if you're already in the Elite 15, you're probably taking these opportunities to race because you want the money. Now, if we're being honest, the athletes who don't take every opportunity that we can think of would be Hunter is probably going to miss a race. Rock probably misses a race. Maybe Tim misses a race, although he usually goes to most of them. And then on the women's side, they've proven if a woman gets in, she's taking it. The only exception to this would be who this podcast is partly named after, would be Meg, but that's only because of the recent health struggles that she's had. Thoughts and prayers with Meg. Hope that you get back really soon. But prior to the injury, Meg was on every start line. So the facts are the elites are showing up and racing. And then actually when talking with some of the people on the Elite 15 committee and HYROX, part of the reason why they landed on this is twofold. One, what they found was if you're trying to get into the Elite 15, you're actually averaging 5 races anyway to try to get an average of 2.
Yeah.
Because we all know how it works. You have to, because it's the only way you could get 2 races. And then the second piece is, and the reason why they did this is the other piece that we didn't talk about, which is at 5 races reduces the likelihood of tiebreakers. There's been a lot of uproar about why is it not just 3? Well, think about it. There's over 100 races at this point in a season. Think about how many possible, if you only need, you could in theory have 30 people that max points, right? And then they're also so there's just way more tiebreaker scenarios. So the reason why they went to 5 was because, all right, well, otherwise we're going to have this tiebreaker. And then what happens? You're going to have a massive uproar again. If you've got 7 people that tied that get left out of a major or worlds, like then we're back to square one of people being like, well, the system is against me. So 5 keeps first off. So the numbers support. I'll just in summary, because I know that was a long tangent. In summary, the numbers support the current Elite 15 contestants that have been staples. They're averaging more than 5 races anyway. The people on the bubble also averaging more than 5 races. And then finally, if we don't have at least 5 races with points scored, we have a nightmare scenario of tiebreakers.
So 5. Like you said, the facts are the facts. People are just racing that much anyway. And now it just seems like, oh, I could do 2, but now I have to do 5. It's probably just the more than doubling the number of races mandated, but really it's not changing anything.
Yeah, and respectfully, like if we think about it this way, this is actually more fair to the field. Who it's not fair to is the top end of the sport.
Yes.
There's probably less than 5 women who we could guarantee are going to who, if they put 2 races back to back, are going to immediately secure their average time. There's probably on the men's side, it's also probably right about that number of men that are going to guarantee
on the course. Yeah.
And that's a big maybe.
Like
Bo Wills is one of the best athletes out there.
Yeah.
Bo Wills is one of the best athletes. He's a consistent staple in the Elite 15. Just dropped a 58. He won the race overall, but he dropped a 58. Well, Bo can run a 55. He can, but he didn't because of the course. Right. So like my argument to that would be like, it really only, it's actually more fair to the field, which is what we've been clamoring for.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. And I'm thinking about it for myself. I'm like, is this better for me or worse for me? It's definitely better for the sport.
It's better for you in the sense of this is where I would put my money on for a guy like you who has, and I'm not just pumping your tires, but a guy like you has proven that you are best just racing. When you get to show up to a race, Rich, and you don't have to, I went back and looked at this. When you needed a time, with the exception of Chicago, shout out Chicago. When you've needed a time, you typically don't do as well as you do when you just get to show up and race the field. Right. When you don't have to worry about that and that pressure is off, it's better for you. The thing that's not better for you is that you're now a family man. You've always been a family man. Shout out Amy. But the thing that's not good for you is that now you're a dad. And so you're probably going to have to work in 1 or 2 more races than what you would like to.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you still get to show up and run your race and race people, which is where you do the best.
I love that. And I love that that's going to open up different like race tactics. Like I think I saw a note, like a quote of Matt Locke is like, this incentivizes everybody to go as hard as they can every single time. Like, not really. This is going to open up race tactics. Like if I am in a race where I feel like I can be as controlled as possible for as long as possible and still win, I'm going to do that. It's not like it used to be like you had to go up and if you didn't get a 2-minute sled push that day, if it was 3 minutes, you might as well dropped out.
Dude, if everybody else is getting waxed on the sleds, who gives a shit?
No, it's the race. It doesn't matter. Right. So from that, I think it's so much better. I love the idea of like, because then it does open up the race tactics. We'll kind of get to learn a little bit more about how people can actually race, because we're going to see it a little bit more, what people prefer, how different, and like that's comes along with maturity in sport, is having like these more tactics where right now it's kind of just like blunt force. If you can hammer up front, you got like, you just have to like hang on. Like a little bit more nuance is happening. I think Dylan has opened that up. He's like, I don't need to race this way and I can still end up where I need to be at the end. But like, I think it opens up a whole different level of race tactics, which I think will be really fun. One thing again with these 5 races that is that I think is not athlete friendly, but I understand why HYROX would do this, and I would be willing to bet that this did cross someone in the decision making circle's mind when it comes to this number, is that when emerging competitions or potential competitors start to show up, this is too many races to do anything else. Like, I would love to do the LT games. I can't. I just can't, because I need to do every single race within that area. It's like, okay, LT games is in April. I have to run 3 races between February and March, and then another one in May, right? Like, so to take a tangent into something else ain't gonna happen. And that is going to, and as the sport gets bigger and bigger, the athletes are going to have more and more influence. And now the HYROX is basically putting a stranglehold on that without making it be like a non-compete, without making us sign contracts that we can't do anything else. This is pretty close to being like, you could try to do something else, but if someone else is doing only HYROX, they're going to be at an advantage. So that, to me, right, is annoying. But I get it. I get why it's good for them to have all of the athletes doing just HYROX.
Yeah. Okay. Can I just play devil's advocate?
Of course.
With one caveat. I do agree that there are drawbacks. There are definitely drawbacks to this system. It's not perfect. The one notable one would be, but again, this is very isolated because we're talking about a single person. The one drawback would be there's no one in the world that disagrees right now that if Meg Jacoby is healthy, that she's not. You could make a very clear argument that she's number 1 in the world if she's healthy,
for sure.
Right. So Meg's going to have to get 5 races because of last season and this season, and that piece is tough. We can talk about that in a second. We can solve for that in a second. Outside of that, though, the only counter that they may have is you have become in the last 2 years a staple of the Elite 15. And I hear what you're saying, but you have proven that you could get 3rd at a major, or you could get top 5. That is worth as many points, if not more, than a regional race. And so there are some scenarios where, let's say you do get let's say you have 2 majors where you get a 3rd place finish. That's 107 points each. Right. So you're actually averaging more. So then the counter argument to that would be if Rich wanted to, focus on the not goofy games, which is the LT game, shout out the LT games, and you wanted to do one, you could show up. That's in April. I'm trying to think of the April races. You could show up at Miami. Rich doesn't even have to win to keep his average. You could get 3rd in that regional race, even if you're not at your top HYROX fitness. You could do that. I would agree that's still too much. I think that the solve here is that what HYROX needs to do, if I was going to change anything about the system, they need to shorten the season somehow. And that almost sounds worse because we're condensing 5 races. But I think the larger issue is that where I could hear the athlete pushback is okay, where do I take a break? Because right now the majors are for last weekend of September or first weekend of October, December, January. Then I've got my regional race in March or April. Then there's another major in April, and then Worlds is in June. So I get 3 weeks off before I have to start building again for another major. That piece doesn't make sense. And then the other thing that I think, I actually went and looked this up last night because I was thinking about the Meg Jacoby situation and how can we make this right. There is precedent for top athletes being able to get in or an invite to a major. I don't know what this would look like because I think for HYROX, they're very adamant that it's got to be the 15, right? It's the Elite 15. That's their whole thing. But there is precedent. You win the Masters, right? Which a lot of people would argue is the toughest, toughest championship in golf. You get an invite for life. If you are a in tennis, shout out Kent. If you are a Grand Slam winner, right? You don't even have to actually qualify via the season. You can get an at-large invite to the majors effectively. is the way that it works. So I think like, and now HYROX's argument to this specifically is like, if you get injured, you need to prove that you are back to where you were, because we have had examples of people getting auto qualifiers.
Right.
We've seen it go poorly. But I think like, okay, if Meg Jacoby drops a 58:12, which is one of the fastest times of all time, okay, maybe we give her a provisional to a major. Maybe you run 16, right?
Yeah.
She's probably going to win that race or get second. And then she's in anyway. So it's like, I think that would be the argument, is like, we need to solve for that because that piece kind of sucks. But outside of it being slightly too long of a season and like top athletes being out for majors, like I think that it's still pretty fair.
Way better. And yeah, they got rid of the auto qualifiers, which is great. Because that
had to happen.
That's just kind of been crazy. You just look at it like, okay, now it's impossible to make 7 people get auto qualifiers. Now you have to so there's only 8 spots to work your way into. Made 0 sense, literally no sense. So that's good.
And then you don't even have to, actually, those people don't actually have to maintain their fitness.
Right. Yeah, and that's why we're not seeing them race.
In theory, you could wait until Warsaw, which again, as a reminder for people, is a very real possibility that you could place 11th, 12th, or 13th in that race and qualify for Worlds, which is absurd. Crazy.
So yes, I like that. There was another thing that, you mentioned, I was thinking about this last night too. It's like this season almost never ends.
It doesn't actually. We had a race in Australia, I think 2 or 3 weeks after Worlds.
And like because it's a 365-day rolling scoring, like, is there any other sport that does that? Like, it's a lifetime score, basically. Like, it never ends. Like, it's never wiped clean. Like, they do that because the majors are way too soon. Having like that October major or September, whenever that it ends up falling, like, you need to have a 365 because like all the races need to count from last year to fill that major. So really what they need to do is they need to push these majors back into like the new year and have all these races and have one season that's like a qualifying season, and then basically have like a race season, have like a major season, because having it never end is kind of weird. I don't know if there's like, of those 29 sports that all use point systems, do they never end? You know?
No, they do end. I'm actually looking at the spreadsheet of all the sports that they considered. There are some that are long, like the PGA Tour, as an example, is 11 months, which is crazy.
But it ends.
But it does end. If you look at the sports,
everybody starts at 0 at some point.
Yeah,
no one's ever going to be 0. No one's at 0 ever.
Yeah, if you look at the sports that do end that are more comparable, I mean, cycling is 10 months, which is crazy. Triathlon, Ironman is 8.5 months. Triathlon Top 100 is 9 months. I think the Diamond
the season will still be long. Like, if
Diamond League is 5 months.
Like, and they're doing invite stuff is probably how they're doing it. Like, these open, like Diamond League, I think, is only invite. So like,
I'm sorry. One point on that, because I mentioned Diamond League, that I did look up. The closest thing to this is that there is, going back to the Meg thing really quickly. I think the reason why they're doing it this way is because in the Olympics, you do not get an auto invite. You have to qualify for the Olympics. But if you look at track and field and you look at the Olympics, I went and researched this to fact check it. There is precedent that if you're a former champion, you can get an at-large invite to
a world championship.
To a world championship, or you could get a at-large invite to like a Diamond League event. Like, so even if you haven't qualified, they could bring you back. So that's where I was going with that, is there is precedent for that. But the problem for HYROX is, again, they have been very clear that the Elite 15 is their thing. They don't want to have 16. They don't want to have 17. They want 15, and that they only want 15.
So let's move into like, let's wipe the slate clean at some point, push the majors back, or push the qualifiers back, so that we don't need to have this 365-day thing. Let it stop. Let it go to 0 so we can redo the whole thing. So it isn't like, that person, like 3 people dropped out of that race. Like, because there's going to be stuff like that where it's like, okay, this person has 105 and like something crazy happened. Like, let's just turn it off, push these majors into the new year, Have there be like the qualification system is like a window, not the full year, and let people gradually get points, have enough opportunities for people to gather points. Like, it's not going to work with the 5. I don't know how it's going to work with how everything's set up. Like, it sucks for Australia. They have barely any races, whatever. Like, that's a thing to me is a little bit strange. Speaking of Olympics, let's move on to doubles real fast. You can no longer race doubles with someone that's outside of your nationality in the championship races.
Hold on. Before we do that, because I have it right here, they have it on this sheet. Do rankings reset seasonally or accumulate? So let's look at what sports did we say we basically were looking at, like triathlon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I go, so I think this is probably why they did it. Ironman is rolling rankings, triathlon 100 rolling rankings, triathlon WTSC rolling rankings, and then if I go to and then for Diamond League, it's seasonal, but World Athletics uses a 12-month rankings. So the sports that are similar, it is a rolling 12-month clock.
Just because there's other sports that do it doesn't mean that it's like good.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm not making an opinion one way or the other. I'm just saying that, like, if you look at like precedent,
the reason they do it is so they can do the majors all year. They can have
Correct.
the attention of every athlete all year. Which is, again, not athlete friendly, but whatever.
Which again, it goes back to an earlier point, Rich, that I was making. I think we kind of breezed over this, but they're trying to dominate your time. They want to see Rich Ryan at more races.
Exactly.
And they want Rich Ryan to go to other races other than just Chicago and New York, because that's good for the brand. If Rich Ryan shows up and starches the field, that's good for the brand.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it makes sense for the brand, but not necessarily for the athlete. So again, that's a pushback
100%.
piece that athletes are gonna, and like there could very well be resentment that builds up that you can see. Like right now, it's great. It's the only show in town. I love this. I want to race this as much as I can. But like, if they are just gonna try to completely occupy your time, and like if you want to use your time anyway else, and it's detrimental to your career as an athlete, not awesome.
Yep.
Doubles can no longer race with a person. Like, so real fast, it's 3 races for doubles, right? Same kind of idea with the scoring. But like the thing that is you can't qualify for an Elite 15 race, I guess, with an athlete outside of your country, not even like your region, your country, correct?
This is dumb. Yeah, it's got to be same country. I think that we're too soon in the sport.
Yeah,
I think we're way too soon. I understand why they're doing it. R.I.P. Rich Leo. But like, I just think about some of the top teams right now that are now like not only broken up, but who are they going to partner with? Names that come to mind: Alexander Vrankovic and Tim Vinish. I think we looked this up on Race Brain. I don't think that there's anybody in ROK's country that has run faster than 58. Is that person good? Sure. Do they have as good of a chance of winning?
Doubles. He's just not doing doubles.
Yeah. Are they going to have as good of a chance of winning as ROK and Tim? No. I think you look at Dearden and JK have to break up. You go and you look at the Australian athletes. I think that they're about 12 months behind. Will they get there? Yes, definitely. They're coming up. But
like JK Tom Rogers or whatever, right? That's good.
Yeah. But I guess, but again, like I still think we're too soon. You and Pelayo are the undisputed bet until someone breaks the record or can do it consistently. You guys are the best team in the game. Okay, well, you have to break up. So it's just like I don't think that the depth is there country to country yet to impose this. And again, we're talking about the 2032 Olympics. Why couldn't they wait another year or two?
That's like in like
6 years from now.
What? Like when I kept being like, what's the reason? And the only reason I'm hearing is like Olympics. Like what? Like it's not even the same thing. Like, what are you talking about? Like it's like, oh, the NBA all of a sudden now the teams can't have, like, Luka can't be on the Lakers because he's Serbian. It's like the Olympics and HYROX are a different thing. HYROX is more like the NBA. The Olympics is a different thing. And the way that people qualify into the Olympics for like track and field, you mentioned, like the system that we have in the United States, there is a, yes, there's a route you have to race yourself into. Other countries don't have that. They're just like, you're in. Like every country gets to dictate how they get teams into the Olympics because it's an overseeing governing body. It's not like,
yeah, isn't it? I mean, they are the best runners, but isn't it the Ethiopians and the Kenyans that technically
they just pick?
You don't even, they just pick.
They just pick, and you can do that. You can do whatever you want. Like, why would HYROX be like, oh, you need to be the same nationality to race together? That's
actually the best argument that I've heard is that HYROX is the NBA and
they're not
the Olympics is the Olympics.
They are not the Olympics as much. Like, I don't know what they think they are doing, and I don't know why they think that. Like, why can't we just do that then? Like when the Olympics comes, now all the Americans form a team. They can play on whatever team they want during the season of like where they make their money and how they compete. And then like it's super not fair for guys like Pelayo, for John Wynn, for Bo Wills, who are for Josh Van Zeeland, who have a nationality but live in a different. Like they're making doubles way worse. Like the product is going to be way worse.
Yeah, and what the weird thing is when Matt Locke explained this, they literally said that this was not even objective, it was subjective, but that they felt like there was more interest when there was like nationality involved, which I think what they're doing is I think that they're actually getting that from the success of the relay. The problem with that is the relay in Nice was way cooler than what it was in Chicago. And I actually think that's a direct result of, I think the reason why it was such a success in Nice was because it was like the finale. All the age groupers were done racing. All the elite races were done. People didn't have to worry anymore. We were all going to go party
hanging
after.
Out. You're like drinking beers.
Everybody's hanging out.
Yeah.
We were there in Chicago. Dude, nobody was at the relay. Like it did not have the same level of appeal. So I think that they're conflating why it was such a cool thing 2 years ago. And I just think we're too early.
Yeah, it's nonsensical. And
that is not just because I'm bummed that I'm not going to get to see Rich Leo starch the field. That is part of it. But I just think that it's too soon.
So my plan here, I'm going to convince Debo to be my partner, but then I'm going to pull Williamson and partner with Dawson. And just really throw some drama into this. And then I'm going to document it. Like we're going to do like maybe mockumentary style, like The Office or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I think that this is going to be good content.
I have got my opinion of who you should partner with out of Rod Debo, but because I'm friends with both of them, and I can't say. Maybe there's an obvious choice.
Maybe let's make this. Since we're doing nationality thing, let's just do 4 people running at a time. Let's just like not doubles, quad racing, not like the relay. All 4 have to be out there racing together, splitting up the work. Let's just throw everybody. Let's just do that. Then we can make.
Yeah, I mean, now we're talking goofy games.
Well, this is the goofiest decision they've made in a long time. Like,
I don't like this one
because the Olympics is what is the answer. I'm hearing like, what about the Olympics? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
I don't like this one. It doesn't make sense to me.
Oh well. All right. I think we got that locked down. Overall, very positive. Now, like we're going to be able to kind of have this rolling and understanding what this looks like. Athletes will get a chance to kind of plan their season a little bit more. That was another thing too that I thought was a little weird is that they kind of rolled this out to athletes in Melbourne, and I had to and then I had to hear secondhand from like, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I need to change how I'm going to race in February, and I don't even know what is going on yet. It's January 20th. I got to race in a month because of this thing. So like that was also kind of silly that they just like, okay, we're telling you now. But overall, I'm happy. I think this is great for the sport. It's going to be very interesting, a little bit hard to follow for some at first. Once the points start kind of coming up, we'll get a better sense of like how this is all going to work. But dude, appreciate you coming on, schooling us.
Or you don't have to. That's the other thing. I think that's the thing is like, yeah, the transition period is going to be weird because if Rich Ryan wants to race the first major, wherever it is, in the fall, yeah, you got to start stacking some races. But you could also spread it out and plan to start peaking later. And then once you get in the rhythm, I think it'll be much more manageable. I think that's their thinking too. It'll become more manageable as time rolls on.
And it'll be interesting.
It's going to be a little taut right now.
Yeah, I think it's good. Change is hard.
Yeah.
You know,
you ready for Phoenix?
I'm ready for Phoenix, bro. We're doing it. I got all my pre-excuses out. Now we're everybody knows that if I don't race,
I was worried about you there first. I was worried about you for a second.
I was a little worried too, man. It sucked. But I'm healthy.
Calves. We had quads.
Got a baby.
We got a baby.
If there, we'll see what what's the sports book?
Legends.
We'll see what Legends has me at. Are they still? Is that still a thing? They're still doing this?
Yeah, I'm taking those odds. It's only in the U.S. though, so it probably will be because it's a U.S. race. So they probably will put odds out.
They should. So my odds will probably.
I want to know who's making those odds because I don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't think they're quite all the way dialed in yet.
No, not dialed.
But check out Race Brain HYROX Rundown. The squad's doing really good work over there. Just had one of the best episodes that
Rich's little creation.
One of the best episodes the group does is top 5 kind of power rankings. We got Greg from Rock's Life come over to do that, and there's going to be a draft this week, which is
drafting tomorrow, baby.
Which is one of the most fun.
We're drafting.
So if you're not checking out our guys,
you think I'm gonna do better or worse than I have been doing I'm on a cold streak.
I mean, odds are. I mean, could it get worse?
Oh no, man. No, we decided on last week's episode.
Just go chalk.
Yeah, we decided after last week's episode that I should stop. My first goal should be to stop worrying about getting out of last place and just stop accumulating so many points. So if I get 4th, fine, but let's stop landing in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah. Baby steps. I like that. All right, cool, man. I really appreciate you popping on. Check out the squad. We'll talk to you soon.
Later.